Very long time ago, there lived a warrior by the name Abonyo. Abonyo married a very beautiful maiden by the name Magere, and together God blessed him with a son, who on his arrival, his mother passed on. Abonyo was forced to ask his own mother, Rapondi, to help him take care of his son, as he was always busy protecting the lands of Kano from their greatest rivals, the Nandes. Every time the Luos and the Nandes went to war, the Nandes would defeat them, and the Luos would cry out to their god, Nyasai, to come forth to their aid and save them from their greatest rivals. Luanda Magere, the son of Abonyo, grew up watching his dad fight, and he picked up some skills as he grew up. One day, the warriors went to war as usual, and they returned back with bodies of men who were killed in the war, and one of them happened to be Abonyo. When the villagers saw this, they wailed so loudly, knowing that they had finally been defeated because one of their greatest warrior had finally been killed, Abonyo Wodomolo. Their cries got to the ears of their god, Nyasai, and this time round, Nyasai appointed a man from the lineage of Abonyo, Luanda Magere. He gave him mystic powers to be able to protect the people of Kano. It is said that Luanda Magere was different from any other warrior. He was more of a demigod. He had the height of a giant. His skin was made of stone, and he had a super speed during war that he was almost invisible. The other thing was that Luanda Magere did not bleed. For the first time in many years, the Luos were so happy because the Nandes would be defeated every time they went to war. Luanda Magere trained his warriors to attack at night or in the evening. They would always emerge victorious. Luanda Magere had one weakness. He loved beautiful women, and every time they came back from war, he would come back with a new maiden from the Nandes. He forcefully took them from their hearts, but despite having many wives, Luanda Magere loved and adored his first wife. One day, after a war that took away so many lives from the Nandes wise men sat down and had a meeting, and one of them said,
"It is very clear that we cannot win this battle. The Luos have become very strong, and very soon they'll be taking over our land and cattle. Their greatest warrior is undefeated. Our arrows cannot even hurt his skin that is definitely made of stone, and we are losing our women every day to him. Think we should just let peace prevail, because we just can't win. For the sake of our children and women."
All the men cleared their throats, and one of them said,
What I've said is very correct, but there is no man on this earth with no weakness. This man in question loves and cannot resist beautiful women. Why can't we use this as bait? Why can't we give our very own princess, Marianne, who is so beautiful and irresistible to him? And Marianne can help us spy on this man until we know the secret of his great powers.
The wise men agreed, and the following morning they carried gifts, some cattle, and Marianne to the old wise men of the Luos to make peace. The wise men of the Luos called Luanda Magere on the side and advised him not to take the woman because it may be a trap. But because Marianne was so beautiful, Luanda Magere shook the hands of the Nandes and accepted their gifts. The old men shook their heads in disappointed as they all ate into their hearts. Many months later, the son of Abonyo fell sick. He called out for his first beloved wife, but he was told that he was out on a journey to get herbs from the neighboring villages. Luanda Magere, having been so in love with Marianne, he sent out for her. Luanda Magere asked Marianne to cut his shadow and rub some herbs on it. When Marianne cut his shadow, she was shocked that his shadow bled. She then rubbed the herbs as instructed, and Luanda Magere fell asleep to recover his energy. Marianne, on the other hand, was so much in shock. She could not sleep with what she had just seen, and that very night, she sneaked out and went back to report to her people. From that day, the Nandes started daring the Luos for a midday fight. The pressure got so much that it got to Luanda Magere, but once again, the old wise men warned him against the fight because it would put him at risk. Luanda Magere became so boastful as to how he would take them down. He championed his warriors and they went out to war. As usual, they killed so many Nandes, and as the sun was setting, the Nandes were almost giving up. But one of them remembered the secret of Luanda Magere. He went and hid behind a hill and he shot his arrow exactly to the shadow of Luanda Magere. A lot of blood sprouted out of the shadow, and the once upon a time great warrior fell down and died. His body then turned into a huge rock. A strong wind then blew over the land of the Nandi and Kanu, the land of the great warrior Luanda Magere. It was then followed by a drought that continued for 2 years. Luanda Magere then started appearing to the old men, showing them where he died. The place he died became very sacred, and people would come to pray and conduct rituals, believing that Luanda Magere was a god. The end. If you've enjoyed this story this far, please do not leave without giving it a like, subscribe and share, and please consider leaving a comment on the comment section telling me whether you enjoyed the story and telling me whatever city or country you're watching me from for me to give you a shout out on the next episode of Wonder Tales by Julianne.